problem.
Yes!
What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
Now let's read
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to season 3. My old Vinnie Mac impression. What have you done with the place?
Now, I know you're probably asking your question, what in the world is, going on? But listen, we've made a few changes. So you had to bear with us. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a nice, different, new setup, isn't it?
New setup. I mean, did you check out the music, folks? By yours truly. Out with the old,
In with the new.
in with the new.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to season 3 of the Wrestling Realm. Mr. Main Event, Brian Waters, and the realness himself, Dwayne Allen, has returned to bring you more wrestling intelligence like never before. We have completely revamped the entire show to meet the needs of wrestling fans and to take things to the next level.
Yeah, the people asked, the people said, when is the Wrestling Realm coming back? I go to different shows. I go to GBW.
Yep,
I
yep.
go to MCW, ACW, ROH, and I get the same questions. WWE, TNA, baseball. When is the Wrestling Realm coming back? And I said, you know what, baby? Just wait. It's coming.
Well, we're back. Made a few changes, but hey, we welcome you to the Wrestling Realm.
And for those of you who are new, sit back, buckle your seatbelts, and enjoy the ride. So, today's show, how we going to kick season 3 off with?
Season 3, let's begin what's going on right now in professional wrestling. Where should we start? I personally would like to start with the dominance of
3MB! I'm a 3-man band!
No.
You said dominance.
No, not that kind of dominance. I mean, if you want to talk about people,
Fandango.
not quite. I was referring to
Tons of funk. Funk is on a roll high. Funk is on a... Hey, I mean, you
not quite the Shield.
Ooh.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know about the Shield, they are a 3-man tandem that has risen to the heights of the WWE in recent day.
Yeah. I mean, they've just taken the WWE by storm. WrestleMania started the show, and honestly, if there wasn't another match on that card, it would have been fine. I mean, and then we can even go back to TLC. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll be one to admit to everybody, I was so sick and tired of 6-man tags after 6-man tags. Because you remember growing up during the 90s era, the new generation era, when you saw a 6-man tag, when you saw guys like Bret Hart, Diesel, and Undertaker team up to go against guys such as Shawn Michaels, Yokozuna, and Owen Hart, it felt like something special. Because you didn't see it every week on Raw, But then, lately, I say about 2006-ish and on, it's 6-man tag after 6-man tag after 6-man tag. Or, shouts out to my man E-Rock and Charlie Speed, a tag team match. So, you just get tired of it. So, but when TLC, when these guys defeated Ryback and Team Hell No, oh my goodness, I said, yeah, they're on to something. And, they just been terrorizing everybody who's been stepping foot in their way, including the almighty Undertaker.
So you had 3 young stars. You have Dean Ambrose, you have Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. When's the last time you've seen a young faction of up-and-comers just going to tear the WWE? I mean, we're talking about 3 fresh faces. 3 guys that people have felt like, oh, they should have been called up, and these guys are being held back. And, of course, internet people, I mean, these are people that we've watched on the indies go here and from, and here they are now finally, and they're like really ascending really, really quick.
Right, and there's no weak point in that stable. If you want to call it stable, you want to call it a group, you want to call it a faction. There's no weak point. You look at these guys, you say, okay, you have Dean Ambrose, great, excellent on the mic. gets in the ring, does his thing. You got almost called him Tyler Black.
Tyler Black.
Or, we also known as Seth Rollins, who can sit up there and say, well, this guy, he could easily get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not. He sits out there, he takes those almighty bumps.
Sells better than Ziggler.
Woo!
I said it.
Sells better than
Sells
Ziggler.
better than Ziggler.
You're a world heavyweight champion. And then you got Joe Anoa'i. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Roman Reigns.
He actually said his name right because he can't say Anoa'i. That's funny.
I know, right?
That's
Funny.
That's
Takes
funny.
lots of practice. Shouts out to my boy Lance out there watching. But you sit there and you see these guys, and somebody said, well, you ain't even say Ambrose's real name or previous name, John Moxley.
Yeah.
But you look at, like I said, Roman Reigns, that presence, he's got the look, he's got the build. He is, ladies and gentlemen, your next generation big man, your next generation monster. And he just simply, he doesn't have to do much. You might say, okay, well, he's the more greener out of the most green out of the group. But he sits up there and just says, no, talks less. He's like that silent assassin.
Absolutely.
He sits up there, doesn't say much, but he dominates. And when he hits that spear, oh, you're out.
Absolutely.
So
where do you mark the Shield as far as impact, as far as factions in wrestling history? Where do these guys stand?
Oh,
so
they've
far?
already made their mark. We wanted to see NXT do something, the Nexus, but unfortunately, it was injuries, and let's face it, it was a lot of them.
Right.
Looking back at it now, because I remember when they came out, I was like, I can't remember all these guys.
Right,
Now
like
look at it.
Right.
We got a world champion out of that group. We got Intercontinental champion, a couple U.S. championships, a couple tag teams. But they had to go out and get their own identity.
Right.
In order for you to know. But now with these three guys, you know exactly who they are and what they're about.
Absolutely. So how far do they go?
Oh, I asked this question.
It's no telling.
I asked this question in the Wrestling Realm group page. Where do you want to see these guys go? How long should they stay undefeated? I say all the way to Survivor Series. Let's go as long as they can. I see 3 world champions right in the making.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Main Event has given the endorsement for the Shield as 3 future world champions.
Yep. So, I don't think we told people who this guy is, who out there watching. Who is this? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the epic, the epitome of realness, the real Dwayne Allen.
I think that's me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I said it in the beginning. I said Mr. Main Event, realness, Dwayne Allen. But I mean, that's cool. That was much better though. That was cool. I'll take that.
Yeah, but like I said, the Shield. Where do you put? Where do you put?
I said it before, and I mentioned it before, and I even got into about a heated debate on the Realm, and I said that the Shield will go down as one of the most unique factions of all time.
Oh, definitely.
Most unique and impactful factions of all time.
Ooh, I think they've already there. Barring, God forbid, a freak accident, what prevents their careers. To me, they're there. They made their mark. Let's go. Let's see what You're entertained. You turn on Monday Night Raw. That's what you want to see. You want to see the Shield. So, but ladies and gentlemen, we would just love to see and talk about the Shield all day. But we got bigger plans for you.
On to the main event.
Woo!
No pun intended.
Well, Dwayne, a lot of people, they look at these belts. And when you look at these titles, you see the Intercontinental Championship, one that was made famous by Y2J.
9 times.
The WWE Championship, where you can make your argument, made famous by The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Mankind, Undertaker, Kurt Angle.
And The Big Show.
The Big Show. But you know what?
I was joking.
Chris Jericho.
Yeah. First undisputed champion. Yep.
It only has to mean one thing. It has to mean that era that people just can't seem to let go.
Do you mean?
Oh, yes. The Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we have a show in store for you. But we're going to leave you for this. Get ready.
We're going back in time.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Good word from our local sponsors. How about that?
Yeah, we have commercials now. That's what
How'd
we do.
you set that up?
Well, pull a few strings here and there, but that's not important.
I'm just
Let's
saying.
get down to the. I don't even know. I was going to say something, but it just.
I mean, people ask,
well,
where's the real Dwayne Allen? Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. We're out there, grinding. You might see him at the show. You might not. You see me. You ask about him. Here he is. Now
Trying
you
to make
see,
some things happen.
This is what was going on.
Trying to take the Realm to the next level.
But the Attitude Era, this is what I want to know. Everybody asked this question, Dwayne.
Yes.
Where did it all begin?
Wow. That is a very good question. You got to think about a time where wrestling was almost, I guess you can say, falling off from what we usually, at least our generation, what we experienced. I mean, you left the 80s, you traveled through the early 90s, and wrestling was kind of stagnant. You had the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation at the time, and you had this balance between older guys like Hogan and Savage on the brink of a new generation of guys like your Shawn Michaels and your Bret Harts and your British Bulldogs trying to break through. So Vince McMahon decides to go into a format called the New Generation, where a lot of he sort of pushed some of the older guys out. They figured they had their run. But a lot of those older guys went off to WCW. Now, around 96, two of the biggest stars of the New Generation, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, at the time known as Razor Ramon and Diesel, decided to leave to go to the WCW to join the NWO. That right there began a new trend in professional wrestling where people and fans were looking forward to a more reality-based product rather than the cookie-cutter superhero good guy versus bad guy product that we had been known, that we usually grew up on seeing, what we saw as professional wrestling. Now, it's no secret that the WWE was getting their tails kicked at the time. So some superstars in the back decided to do some things in front of the camera that they were doing behind the camera. And I'm referring to Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Chyna, and the infamous Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. They form a faction, a trio of degenerates, if you will. And they began to do things that caused a lot of distress, a lot of heat for the networks, for the people watching the television. And to the surprise of many of the backstage folks, they realized that the fans began to respond to this a little bit differently than they expected. Instead of being booed or being in shock versus, in regards to all the vulgar stuff they were doing, the fans began to like it. They liked the bad guy entrance. They liked the degenerate way of thinking. And all of a sudden, someone in the back decided, hey, let's just go there. And you begin to see superstars develop these characters and attitudes that reflect their personalities. And let's just say it took us on a wild ride.
Well, you don't have to ask you this.
Yes.
You're a TV production major.
I'm a TV production
Excuse me. A graduate. A TV production graduate.
That's me, yes.
If you're the CEO of USA and you see something like this on your program,
Right.
what do you do? A CEO, not Ted Turner style, not wrestling fan, but you're a CEO. You sign the paychecks. You decide who comes on your network.
I'd have did exactly what they did. I'd have sent letters and told them to stop this garbage or we'll pull you off the air.
Oh, yeah?
Until
You
I
check them
saw the numbers. Once I saw the numbers, just as USA did, they realized, wait a minute, this is bringing in a lot more viewers than most people could have ever imagined for any type of wrestling product.
I mean, you think about it, they was getting 6, 7, and 8.
Right, that's unheard of. I mean, especially in those days, you're lucky if you get a 4. You're doing some damage to today's ratings.
And let me let people know, when they say 6 to 7, 8, that means approximately 6, 7, 8 million people are watching.
Right, absolutely.
And so you can imagine, if those are the ratings, imagine what the shares were. That's a different story, a different day.
So the Attitude Era, what did that mean to wrestling fans? Because most people will sit there and you ask them, do you used to watch wrestling? Oh, I used to watch it. I watched it back with The Rock was on there, and Stone Cold, and Stephanie, and Triple H. And then after a while, most people stopped watching. So tell me, Mr. Main Event, what was so impactful about this entire era of wrestling that captivated an entire generation of any? If you ask anybody today, at one point, did you watch wrestling? They're most likely going to tell you, oh, I watched it when Stone Cold was there, when The Rock was there, when Triple H was there, and they're beginning to tell you their favorite Attitude Era moments. Why was that? What?
It was a feeling that you could go out there, you could watch something and relate to it. You know, we see people watch reality TV nowadays.
Right.
Why? Because they want their lives to be like that. They wish they had the big houses, the big cars. You know, they see the drama. They say, okay, you know, that's the way my life can be, but I wish I could have it like that. It's not that bad. So when you see people relate and you connect with the crowd, people wanted to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. They wanted to be like The Rock. Heck, I can even go back further than that. They wanted to be like Jerry Lawler because people don't realize Jerry Lawler was the first person to insult his boss. Because when they was on commentary together, they used to insult Vince McMahon all the time.
That's very true.
You know, so they wanted to be like these type of people. Like, so if you can't be like them, turn on TV, enjoy it. For 2 hours every Monday night, people forgot their problems. And I couldn't understand that as a 12 and 13-year-old saying, well, why don't people like their jobs? If they don't like a job, get a new one. But you know, I went and I stepped out in the corporate world for a little bit. And I said, I wish I had a Stone Cold Steve Austin I could watch every night. Because, you know, there's a couple of people, Mickey J, sometimes that I wanted to give him a Stone Cold Stunner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason. You know, so when you think about the Attitude Era, it was a way it brought families together. Now, granted, some of the stuff you watched on there, I'm pretty sure you had that saying, Dwayne, turn that off. You don't need to be watching that right now.
Yeah, my mother hated when I was watching wrestling.
You know, it was times, especially Sable. Woo! You know, Sable coming out there with the bikinis, like, you know, so, I mean, it got raw on Monday nights.
Well, look at what the Attitude Era was able to do. It was able to captivate more than one demographic of fans, which is what wrestling has yet to do since that day. Think about it. You had like the Generation X. Most young people, including myself, was the ones that they sort of captivated. Those are the people that they grabbed the attention of, because as a young kid, sometimes you felt like you were the outcast and you felt like a degenerate, and they made it cool to be that way. They said, don't worry about it, you can be different, you can be a degenerate. And most young, immature guys felt that way anyway. So when they was telling people to suck it and throwing up your exes and stuff like that, I mean, that's something every kid in middle school, every kid in elementary school, and even all the way up to the 18 to 30-year-old demographic in college or adults, we're all doing the same thing. And like you said, then you have a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was the one that the adults could relate to, because you're right. You have a guy that's sitting there telling his boss what he's going to do, giving them Stone Cold Stunners, giving them people. Everybody wanted to do that who was working, you know, in the work world. Then you had the divas. You had I don't think they were even called divas at the time.
They didn't get called divas until about 99.
They had the lovely ladies of the Attitude Era that came out there most of the time wearing next to nothing, and that got a lot of the other guys and a lot of the pervs in between always excited. So even if you didn't come to see one thing, there was so much on the show that you look forward to one way or another.
But you know what, too? Let's go take wrestling intelligence a step further. You also had, you said all demographics, right? Mm-hmm. You had, you know, your nerds, your people who couldn't, you know, like you said, the outcasts. They could also relate to guys like the Job Squad, you know.
There you go.
You also had your Gothics. You know, you remember around this time, you had a lot of people walking around, you know, they used to say, you know, say things about them.
Punk rock was really hit a
Yeah, so you had your Gothic people who could relate to guys like the Undertaker, the Ministry of Darkness.
As well as
Midian,
the Brood.
The Brood, definitely the Brood. Your vampires, you know. So you look at Attitude Era had something for everybody, because that's what it was. It was an attitude.
Right.
You know, and now, you know, would we like to see that era return? Yes and no. In a way where we want to see the ratings. We want to see the cool
popularity
factor
of wrestling come back.
Yeah, but as far as actually the stuff they were doing, not with this roster.
No. I mean, one of the big things that I usually hear about when you're reading about the Attitude Era, they had the talent to execute these type of things. I think a lot of the guys in the back, if they were trying to do it now, they couldn't do it, which is also kudos to Triple H now with him revamping the developmental system. I've gotten word, or I've read that they've taken away certain scripts and certain things laid out for superstars, and they're teaching them to develop their own characters and become more of the character instead of trying to become something that was written for them on paper. Because
he was the master at it. I mean, when you look at Triple H now, and you look at Hunter Hearst Helmsley, you're like, he was that?
Right.
Or Terrorizing, you know? So
I'm not even going to comment on that one.
So you look at him, you see, okay, this is why he's teaching them to do that.
Right.
Now, you know, I don't know about that Tensai guy or that Sin Cara, but that's a different story, a different day.
Hey,
Vince didn't get great overnight.
That's true. Absolutely.
But I gotta ask you something.
Yes.
When you think of Attitude Era, right on the spot, first thing comes to mind.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And I feel ashamed because I should say the Generation X, because there's still, when the music hits, I still have a little bit of degenerate still comes out at times, and I feel like I just want to kick a chair over or throw something at somebody. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Give me a moment.
The beer bat.
Ooh, the beer bat.
I mean, we saw the perfect opportunity where you had The Rock finally emerging as WWF champion, and he was part of the corporation. He was coming out there and he was talking smack like he usually does. And you think this can't get any better than this? You got The Rock, Shane, and Vince, and then Stone Cold this is something you don't think you're going to see this on television.
Right.
He pulls out of there in a beer truck, and you think, okay, all right, here comes the beer truck. That's hilarious. Stone Cold pulls out a beer check, but in the middle of The Rock sitting there talking his stuff, you better know your role and shut your mouth and check, talking his jibber jabber. Stone Cold gets off the truck, he stops talking, and he grabs a hose. And he proceeds to shoot these guys with beer out of a fire hose. Are you kidding me? I'm sitting there like, I cannot believe this just actually happened. You got Vince swimming like he was drowning and stuff like that. I was just like, this guy, I mean, you hear that glass shatter, and you already know what time it is.
Exactly, man. Oh, man.
See, you're going back right now.
Yeah.
I see it, because it's like, when you hear these moments and you see them, you're like, yo, it takes you right back to where you were when you saw something like that. And see, back in these days, spoilers and stuff weren't that prevalent. The internet was out, but that internet wasn't, everybody didn't have it.
Yeah, you had to be, your parents had to kind of have a little bit
Yeah,
of
because everybody didn't have it. And then internet speed wasn't like that back in the day. It was dial-up, you know, so we're showing our age right now. Sorry.
Hey, not to mention that when you was on the internet, that means somebody got kicked off the phone.
Exactly, and that wasn't, wasn't, not in my house.
Everybody had the internet. And that's the thing. If you got spoilers, it's because you subscribed to Meltzer to get the Wrestling Observer.
Or you called Mean Gene's 1-900 number.
Oh, yeah.
Because he gave everybody's business out on that thing. That's what I heard.
Man, I wish, you know what? Anybody out there in the wrestling world, if you ever called that Mean Gene phone number, let us know. Post it right here under this video. Let us know what you think about it. What did you experience? What spoiler did you get when you called the 1-900 number from Mean Gene?
I remember hearing the commercial, but WWF, I was like, he getting everybody's business thrown in the street.
Yeah, man, but I was watching yesterday, The Undertaker. It was him and Shawn Michaels. This is right at the beginning of the Attitude Era.
One of my favorite rivalries and favorite matches of all time.
Yeah, now this is before the Hell in a Cell. It's the one that ended it was in your house, ended in double disqualification. And, you know, I know you say, yeah, The Undertaker kind of went to the main event, dropped off, put people over, went back to the main event. And people could make the argument that The Undertaker didn't really get his streak made him more relevant. But that man used to put on some great matches. I mean, he flew over the rope, you know, and he's jumping on
he's
DX
6'10".
and all these other people. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and, man, when The Undertaker was wearing this title belt, I hated him. But now looking back at it, it's like, why could he stay that way? You know what I mean? He was dominant. The music.
Sound like James Bond. That's what I heard. It's James Bond.
James
music.
Bond mixed with the Ministry music, man. Woo! But yeah, to me, that was the best Undertaker.
I have a confession. I was terrified of Undertaker.
Oh, yeah?
My uncle used to work in the hotels downtown. You know, he's in a circle, and they would get tickets. And I was like, man, if Uncle Joe invites me to a show, I don't think I'm going to go because I'm be kind of nervous.
But, you know, I used to sit back. When I watched him, I sat there, and I was like, it was him and Kane. You know, they had their rivalry. And I'd be like, oh, my goodness, Kane going to take his mask off today? Oh, no, I hope not. If Kane takes his mask off, it's not going to be pretty.
Right.
Nonetheless, later on down the line, eventually he took the mask off. But that rivalry right there. You know,
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's...
If I don't win the title, I will set myself on fire. My bad, I had a moment.
No, listen. The Attitude Era will make you do things like that at times.
People, you got to see the DVD. It's just that simple.
Definitely. You should definitely pick it up. If
They
you
got
guys
to play WWE 13. You know, that right there. Now, WWE 12, because they went to WCW era, is the reason why I didn't trade that game in. Because they went to the Attitude Era is the reason why I won't trade in WWE 13. Because you can literally replay those storylines. Right. And you'd be like, wow. Then you realize Undertaker and Kane fought a hell of a lot of times.
Yeah, definitely.
Between 97 and 99, they was always wrestling. Actually, the 2000. Because then when Undertaker became Biker Taker, they was wrestling again.
Okay.
So
with that being said, what about the new faces of the Attitude Era? We started at the beginning, we talked about the middle. What about a lot of the faces that emerged within the Attitude Era, like
Kurt Angle?
Like Kurt Angle. Guys like Kurt
Jericho.
Angle, Chris Jericho, Ken Shamrock.
I'm going to say his name on here because it's our show. Chris Benoit.
I wasn't a fan of Chris Benoit.
Well, you wasn't, but I mean, him and Jericho put on a hell of a lot of great matches. I mean, when I watched Jericho and Benoit, I saw The Rock and Triple H. And I'm going to tell you why. You might say, what do you mean?
Rock and Triple H?
Listen, follow me. Follow the rivalry.
What are you talking about?
I'm about to tell you. If you
this is going to be good. I got to hear this one.
1998.
Okay.
Fully loaded. Rock and Triple H was the sub-main event for the Intercontinental Championship. SummerSlam, 98. Sub-main event for the Intercontinental Championship. This time a ladder match, right? A year later, these guys, 2 years later, they were main eventing those shows. The same two guys rising to the top together. That's what
I don't
thought.
know about rising to the top together.
They were.
Okay.
Rock and Triple H,
Okay. Yeah.
rising to the top together. That's what I thought I was going to see with Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. Unfortunately, Benoit could just never really break through that glass ceiling until 2004. And unfortunately, even then, it was just like a here's your present for being
All
so
the
faithful to
hard
the
work.
business. You know, but that's what I said during that Attitude Era. That's what I thought I was going to see. Because I mean, they dominated that mid card. You know, we always talk about a good mid card, a good intercontinental title match, because it's the workhorse title, and that's what you saw with Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. You saw 2 out of 3 falls, ladder matches. I mean, the list goes on and on. Granted, both of them were in the main event, King of the Ring, 2001 with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Benoit just wasn't a strong enough component to Chris Jericho, far as carrying on a main event match.
I'm not buying it. Chris Jericho, yeah, maybe, but even I know I'm going to catch heat for this one, but even Jericho at the time, I still don't think broke through, even all the way up to him becoming undisputed champion.
Well, the thing is, it was like he was never really. When you read his book, Undisputed, you really see it's like he was never really given a chance because he was.
And that's fair. I'll give you that. There's
backstage,
no
he was
doubt.
killing him.
I mean, because you got to think about it. If you guys watch the DVD, Big Show gives a true confession of how it was backstage for the Attitude Era. He goes on to describe pretty much about how that the Attitude Era was not a friendly backstage environment because everybody was trying to get on and everybody was trying to get over it. If you messed up or you couldn't keep up, you know, it was very intense back in those days. And it's not that hard to believe that Jericho couldn't break through. And it was clear because you had Triple H, you had Rock. I mean, you got to.
But see, now, that's funny because you said Triple H and Rock, and that's two people who, in a sense, were playing one versus the other against him. Like, The Rock was sitting up there saying, yeah, you came out there, you insulted me, it was great. When he went out there and said, who are you, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And then he gets in the back, and you got Vince McMahon and Triple H say, you don't insult The Rock like that, yada, yada, yada. He goes to apologize to The Rock. Rock said, man, you got heat. That's what I wanted you to do. And that allowed, so I think where he was getting all this going in his ear to the point they made X-Pac. Yes, X-Pac, he had to go over his matches with him. Jericho had to go over all his matches with X-Pac before he would go out there because Vince knew that X-Pac could put on a great match.
Absolutely, because, back in the day, they told you, lower guys, you went through X-Pac, then you went through Razor, and then you end up, if you were lucky, you got to Shawn.
Yeah. So Jericho, even though when he did become undisputed champion, it was like, yeah, he was champ, but they never really had faith to say, here, take it and run with it.
Right.
You saw more of that coming when he was given like the SmackDown brand.
Right.
Around 2007, 2008, 2009, when he was beating up Batista and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, they never really if they would have gave him the ball around that time when they gave him the belt, it would have been better. Because even guys like the Undertaker and Stone Cold was kind of happy for him. Like, yeah, you earned it, kid, and he didn't believe it. Like, I'm winning the title tonight.
So what about Kurt Angle?
Oh man, Kurt Angle was great. I mean, he was somebody to me, when I saw him come out there, I'm like, this guy's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I couldn't
He
stand that
got under your skin, and you think about a guy like him. I see so much of Daniel Bryan. See so much of him and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys who,
absolutely.
They're great. Great isn't even a word to describe their wrestling ability in the ring. Mm-hmm. And you think, man, they don't probably have that much personality. But then you give them the ball, and then you see a whole new side of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, Kurt Angle walking around there, it's true, I'm the greatest, it's true. And then, he's partnering with Edge and Christian, and they're putting on some of the best comedy you ever see. Edge and Christian playing the little music on Angle, Angle. Yeah, it's just, you look at the Attitude Era, you look at Kurt Angle, you said, okay, even during that time when he had the belt from No Mercy up until No Way Out,
right?
He held his own.
Yeah,
he stood his ground. He took out the Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold, and it was like, wow, he did it.
So what about the other faces that broke through? You mentioned Edge and Christian. You had Edge and Christian. Of course, you had the Hardys, and you had the Dudleys.
Now, that's the thing I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
I look at those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of the biggest Edge fans.
Okay.
We saw what Edge did in 2005, 2006
Mm-hmm.
as he became champion.
Right.
Do you think he could have? Do you think that the rated R superstar could have lasted in the Attitude Era?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. Especially with that character, the rated R superstar. I mean, even he'll tell you when he had the live sex scene celebration with Lita, that was the highest rated segment post Attitude Era. I think it got like a 4 or something, or I'm not sure where it was at on as far as the numbers, but with that gimmick, yeah. If anybody, rated R, who knows what he would have did with that type of type of leeway, and he was already edgy as it was during
No pun intended.
Yeah, that's no pun intended. During that time, so imagine if they just let him loose during an era where it's pretty much like just go there and say whatever you got to say and just get over it, make the crowd go crazy. I mean, I'm almost scared to see a live sex celebration in the Attitude Era. They might have went through with that one.
But you know what though? You said the Hardys. You said the Dudleys. Now we saw the type of triple threat ladder matches these guys put on. But there were other tag teams. I'm talking the APA. I'm talking Scotty Too Hotty and Graham. Cool. Yeah, Too Cool. Glad you called the name out because it definitely lost me.
How do you forget Too Cool and Keisha?
Well, I knew the guys, just didn't the name. Made me lose my train of thought. The Hollies. You had all these tag teams. Obviously, you cannot forget about the New Age Outlaws who would break up, get back together, break up, get back together. You had all these tag teams. Even the Mean Street Posse, shouts out to them. Did an interview with them. Check it out. All these guys, right?
We even give you Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown.
Definitely. The 2 guys I wanted to get the belt so bad, but they didn't. But you look at these guys, right?
Because he's black.
And all these guys were, tag team. You could have tag team turmoils.
Yeah.
So when you look at tag teams, it wasn't all this, it's not too many tag teams, not enough tag team matches. And the belts seem to be defended all the time. I never forget when I watched the Hardy Boys defeat the Acolytes, Farouk and that Bradshaw, right on Monday Night Raw. I mean, it was nothing like watching wrestling and then going to school the next day and talking about that title defense or that title exchange.
But see, the thing is, back in those days, you got to understand, with the Attitude Era, each tag team had their own personality. Nowadays, you don't really see that. They wear matching outfits, but it's like you don't know the personality of.
Come on, millions of dollars.
Yeah, but that's not really nothing. Like, was that supposed to be funny? It's like, okay, yeah, it doesn't grab you. Like, okay, let's look at it. You have the Dudleys. They had a personality. They were from Dudleyville. They were brothers. They had arm fatigue. They put you through tables. You knew what the Dudleys stood for.
And forget one stuttered.
Exactly. When he first came in, they used to wear the glasses and everything.
Dudley Boys.
You had the Hardys. They were always known for doing flips, crazy stuff, and had something to do with ladders. Edge and Christian, they were just funny. They had their own personality as well. Even something like the Headbangers, they were the Martian Thrasher were the sort of the punk rock guys.
So how you explain Mankind and The Rock?
Those are superstars. You don't need to explain superstars. You feel me? New Age Outlaws, you knew what you got with these guys. Tag teams nowadays, you don't know who they are. They just, okay, I don't get it. Like, what's your thing?
Even Right to Censor, when you threw that group together.
Right, yeah, exactly. That entire faction.
They was the most hated group in wrestling.
Because they took all the stuff that you wanted to see, and they decided to
cover it up.
To censor it.
Man, I tell you. But, you look back at that. You look at the beer bath. You think about some of the stuff, the empty arena matches between Mankind and The Rock, or just their series of matches. You look at the series of rivals. What do you think in the era today comes close to matching any of that? Is there a rival out there that you think came close?
And when you say today, are you referring to like, what timeline am I working with?
We'll say the what they call the reality era.
I'm sorry, nothing's ringing a bell.
Nothing?
I can't. I'm sure there is something. Don't get me wrong.
The only thing I can say maybe
anything with Triple H in it, maybe.
I would say CM Punk and John Cena.
No,
not at all. When you think about when that first started, when CM Punk first dropped that pipe bomb.
Okay, well, yeah. I'll give you that one. I'll give you CM Punk and John Cena.
We got away from it, so it wouldn't get too old. It came back. you wanted to see it because now by this time you were sick of Punk and all the stuff he was doing, and then it was like, but it's still John Cena. It's like, I don't want to see him with the belt, but I want to see Punk take off the belt. So what does Punk do? He wears the Yankee stripes in Boston.
CM Punk and John Cena never have a bad match.
No.
Not since the first one, the first meaningful one they had.
Right.
Because they had a rivalry before that when CM Punk first came back from injury. When he came off commentary,
Yeah, they did.
they did, and it got lost in the shuffle. But
Because he had a better one with Randy Orton.
yeah. So
But, when I think about the Attitude Era, like I said, thank God for DVDs.
definitely.
You get, like, I saw your post the other day, and you said, it's time Saturday morning. You know what that's time for?
You already know.
Time for some
Saturday
good
morning
wrestling
wrestling,
DVDs. So that's, I encourage everybody out there, make sure you get your wrestling DVDs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Wrestling Realm. This is season 3. We're back, bigger, better than ever before. We got clothes coming out.
Yes, we are expanding to apparel. Get your Wrestling Realm gear soon.
And make sure you check us out on the web, right on Facebook.com/The Wrestling Realm. You can check out his website, The Real Dwayne Allen. Find Wrestling Realm content there. Find Wrestling Realm content on Mr. Main Event Brian Waters. WrestlingRealm.com coming soon. To an internet near you.
And everybody has that, so you can't say you don't know what it is.
Yep. Even simple on your smartphone, because it's all smartphone compatible. And make sure, if you didn't know, you can download this show on iTunes for free, ladies and gentlemen. Free 99.
Free 99.
Well, any last words, final thoughts?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Season 3. And we're just getting started.
He is the real Dwayne Allen. I am Mr. Mint Brian.
That's great. Welcome back. Someone's clearly rusty.
I am Mr. Main Event Brian Waters. So long, everybody.
Hit the music.
We want to script.